some really nasty storms moving into southern Cook County. But this one area up here in the far northwestern suburbs is where we have the tornado warning in place. That's for Boone and parts of McHenry County until 2:30. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning for this storm as well. But it's a really small part of the storm that has the tornado warning here in Illinois, and it's right here outside of Leroy and pretty close to Bigfoot Prairie. Right here where you see the reds and greens together, that's right on the county line here of McHenry and Boone County, and it's just about ready to cross into Wisconsin. This line right here, that's the state line. So this is north of Chemung, near Bigfoot Prairie, and then well to the north and west of Woodstock. So if you're watching us in most of McHenry County, you are not included in this tornado warning. It's the far northwestern sliver of McHenry County and then the far northern parts of Boone County included in this tornado warning. This will track into Wisconsin in the next couple of minutes, and the tornado warning for Illinois will come to an end in about at least 15 minutes or so. But nonetheless, if you're here around Bigfoot Prairie, up towards Darien and up towards Elkhorn and Williams Bay in Wisconsin, you need to be taking shelter right now from this particular storm. Again, it's a tornado warning for that little rotation that we're seeing on the radar. And then we also have some really nasty storms in southern Cook County that are capable of producing winds to 60 miles per hour and even some large hail up to 1 inch in size and diameter. There's also a tremendous amount of lightning with that storm. The severe thunderstorm warning for Cook and parts of Will County goes until 2:45. So we're tracking a series of storms on the radar. This cluster here in southern Cook County and that one that has the tornado warning up in the far northwestern suburbs, parts of Boone and McHenry County. Meteorologist Cheryl Scott is here as well. And Cheryl, that's spun up rather quickly there up there in Boone and McHenry County, but it's moving quickly to the north and to the east.
It is. It's moving about 35 miles per hour. A small sliver of our northern McHenry County getting hit with this storm right now. And it's just a tale here of what we're looking at throughout the next couple of hours, the afternoon into the early evening. We are looking at some strong to severe storm potential. Severe thunderstorm warning here that is going to impact parts of the Chicago area. But as we take you to our live Doppler 7 Max, where we are tracking that tornado warned cell. Up in the booth, I am on backup. You can see that tornado warning here, Boone and McHenry. Again, this is a very small sliver of the northern county of McHenry. And I think we're going to send it back to Larry right now because we're showing your computer and I don't want to confuse people. Okay, I think we got my computer here on the screen for you. Boone and McHenry, this is in effect until 2:30 right now. You can clearly see here intense downpours, very high reflectivity values, and hail expected. Some of these storms could pack a punch with hail up to about dime penny likely, but not out of the question to see some larger egg to baseball size hail with some of these storms that do form during the afternoon hours today. So this is tracking slowly here up to the north and east. We're going to track this for you, especially up into parts of southeast Wisconsin. If you're watching us, heads up, you need to get to your safe place. Anyone under a tornado warning at this point in time, no matter what happens throughout the next couple of hours, if you get a tornado warning issued for your area, you do want to take cover, seek shelter, and get to that safe place. So again, these storms are moving again at about 35 miles per hour. As we track where we are finding the weak rotation here, just passing to the north and east now of Leroy there in McHenry County. So let me draw this for you as we track this out up to the north and east, moving at about 35 miles per hour. Walworth getting closer to you at about 2:28. So the tornado warning here is in effect until 2:30. So anyone out ahead of this, including Lake Geneva, then you have friends and family in that area, you may want to call them, give them a heads up. The storm, the possibility here of some weak rotation. So let me switch over to velocity mode quickly. This is what we're looking at. A little bit of a broad couplet here forming with this storm as it is beginning to just cross over that state line. So there's our McHenry County, that small little sliver of the county here, the northern fringe. There's Leroy, that circulation where we're finding the twisting. That is now just up to the north and east of your area. Bigfoot Prairie, Walworth, you're in the path of this. So you can see the reds next to the greens here. So we're looking at a bit of a couplet here. It is a bit broad, and as we go into the next 20-25 minutes, anyone out ahead of this system and the storm in this zone, you're going to want to seek shelter there. So a lot to monitor here, and as Larry was just mentioning, not only that storm, but we also do have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for Cook and Will County, and this is in effect until 2:45 here. You can see all of the lightning associated with this storm. Very heavy rain, torrential downpours. We had the round of storms this morning and the rest of the afternoon, scattered showers and storms. And we do have a tornado watch that has been issued until 8 o'clock here across our entire region. So you just need to be weather aware through the afternoon. Larry, going to send it back to you, see what you're finding with the latest, with the warnings coming in and that tornado warning that has
on
been
that tornado
issued.
warning, I'm getting reports of a wall cloud with persistent rotation north of Harvard and moving to the north. And so what that means is there's a lowering of the cloud base there that is showing signs of rotation, but they're not spotting a tornado at this particular moment, at least from that vantage point. But we need to treat it like there's a tornado possible with that storm now moving across the state line up into southern Wisconsin. But everybody still remains under a tornado watch until 8 o'clock this evening. All the counties shaded in red here are under that tornado watch. And again, we've got these two clusters of thunderstorms that are severe, the one in southern Cook County and the other one that has the tornado warning up here, now moving out of the northern parts of McHenry County, pushing into southern parts of Wisconsin there, Woolworth County. And you can see that warning goes for about another 10 minutes. Looks like the circulation is starting to move north of the state line. Still pretty tight on the radar. You can see it around Bigfoot Prairie, what Cheryl was mentioning just a second ago. Right in that area, just now crossing the state line, is where this potential tornado is located, and it's lifting off towards the north at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So that's a nasty storm that also is producing some heavy rain and even some small hail all the way down towards Chemung and down towards the Harvard area as well. But focusing on the storm here in Cook County right now, it's producing a lot of lightning. And we've got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 2:45 for Cook and parts of Will County. The worst of this storm is now moving past Tinley Park and Orland Park as we speak. It's possible that we could be getting winds upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour and hail up to 1-inch size or larger. In fact, the hail core is just now crossing over 45, heading near Tinley Park and Worth over in this area towards Harvey as well. You have the potential in this zone here to see hail up to 1 inch in size, maybe even larger. And also a lot of hail will be possible with this storm as it slides on through. In fact, I'll zoom in a little bit closer, give you a sense of where this hail core is heading. So Oak Forest, Midlothian, right in this general area here along 43 and 6 and over towards Cicero and 50 here south of Alsip. This will be the zone where we've got the potential for some very large hail, up to 1 inch in size, maybe slightly larger, but also a lot of hail is possible too. We could get a lot of maybe pea and penny sized hailstones falling from this storm. But the other thing I wanted to show you is the winds with this system as well, because right here where you see the brighter shades of red, just about ready to cross over the tri-state, that's near Worth, heading over towards Calumet Park and Harvey. We could be getting some winds upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour in this zone, and that'll track across the southern parts here of Cook County from Calumet Park to Stony Island over towards Burnham. So this is packing a pretty good punch with some high winds, a lot of heavy rain, and of course a lot of lightning. And you can see it on the radar as I put it into motion. It's kind of a series of storms that have flared up and now rapidly moving off towards the north and to the east. So we've got the one severe thunderstorm warning here and the other severe storm with a tornado warning up along the state line heading to the north. Cheryl, the other thing we're watching is for additional thunderstorms to flare up south of the city and especially in northwest Indiana. When you look at the dynamics of the atmosphere this afternoon, it's a little more favorable for large hail across northern Illinois, because when you look at the temperature profile here, once you get up above 12,000 feet, temperatures drop below freezing. And at 32,000 feet, which some of these cloud tops are reaching to, the air temperature is about 41 degrees below zero. So when it gets obviously that cold, and once the raindrops get that high in the sky, they form hailstones and then fall to the ground and can get really large because of that colder air aloft. So here's the overall setup. Again, this red shaded area is the tornado watch zone. Couple of severe storms in our area, but we're watching down to the south too for a concern for some isolated tornadoes as well. Level 3 risk across northwest Indiana, level 2 risk here across much of the city and most of the suburbs as well. Cheryl, any update on the tornado warning?
Yeah, the threat has now crossed over the state line up into southeast Wisconsin. So McHenry basically getting in the clear now of that tornado warning that was just issued in effect until 2:30. But seeing the latest on radar, and we are in communication with the National Weather Service as well, watching this closely as it does travel up to the north and east and now into parts of Wisconsin there. But as Larry was mentioning, we do have the dynamics in place for some very large hail today. It's not going to take a lot as these storms continue to grow and intensify into the upper levels of the atmosphere. Even as we reach 10,000 feet up there, cold air is present aloft. So that will allow for some hail formation here as we go into the afternoon. We have a really hefty thunderstorm here in parts of southern Cook County, Chicago. A lot of lightning here, some small pea dime-sized hail being reported. Can't rule out the possibility of some stronger storms. And notice here on our radar up to the north where we were tracking this tornado warned cell, you can see some spin. So radar here is picking up on that. We've been watching closely with our radar and the velocity here. Now, as we zoom in a little bit closer, finding some very weak rotation being present within this storm, and this is packing a punch with very heavy rain and the likelihood, not so much the large size of the hail, but just indicating potentially the amount of hail that is coming down with this thunderstorm cell, and the possibility here of some weak rotation can't be ruled out. So keeping our eye on this, you can see our radar picking up on some weak spin at the moment right now. This is indicative of some early signs of some spin within a thunderstorm here. So keeping our eye on that. But there you can see just how strong this storm is with the very heavy rain. What we're looking at right now are reflectivity values here. So very high values of heavy rain and hail come in brighter and darker. So where we have the reds, the pinks, and the whites, that's indicating where we are seeing some hail. So let me just switch over to hail here quickly, and there it is, defined. We were just watching this as the storm continues to move up to the north and east. Some of you are going to get hit hard with a round of pouring rain as well as some hail mixing in there. This is going to be crossing over 294 basically right now, just to the north, and Calumet Park. You're going to get hit with this. Worth, you're in the path of this storm as well. We zoom in a little bit closer. Let me just query this for you as well, see what comes in terms of some hail size, likely up to quarter size hail being reported within this storm. And let's just track this up to the north and east. Again, these storms are moving at about 30-35 miles per hour. So you want to be inside as this passes on through. And if you have time, you're out ahead of this system. You don't have much time. You may want to think about getting those cars inside garages if you have that capability. Harvey at 234, Dalton at 237, Burnham at 242, Whiting at 247. So monitoring this very closely.
And Cheryl, I just see a 1.5 inch hail report from Orland Park as well with that storm. And we're also getting some high wind threats with this storm as well near Robbins, Blue Island, Marionette Park, and Calumet Park. Keep that radar image up there for Cheryl, because this is a nice comparison to show the contrast between the typical radar images, which Cheryl's standing in front of, and then this is the velocity data here where we can track the high winds. And right around West Pullman, Marionette Park, down towards Blue Island, Posen, heading over towards Dalton, where you see the brighter shades of red, that's where we're getting some of those higher winds, which have spread over I-57, heading over towards 94 right now, and the Bishop Ford. That's the possibility where we could be seeing winds up around 70 miles per hour. And when you look at Cheryl's map there, you can see those are really dark shades of red, and even the white showing up there, Cheryl.
Yeah, and when you mentioned hail size up to 1.5 inches in diameter, we're talking ping pong ball size hail. So I know reports have been coming in, streaming in with some hail reports. Also, the possibility, I mean, this rain is coming down so heavy as it did this morning, so the ground is saturated in a lot of locations, Larry. So we are looking at the possibility of some flooding occurring in a short period of time. So definitely ponding on area roads. We are getting into the late afternoon, so we have to be watching that as people will be hitting the road soon for that afternoon and evening commute. And we're not exactly in the clear as we go through that 4 and 5 o'clock hour.
And you know, that 1.5 inch hail report we got in Orland Park, that's the largest hail report we've seen so far. We've seen some penny and nickel size hail reports down towards Joliet when the storm was there, but there are certainly the capability of these storms to produce up to 1.5 inch size hail or even larger, and a lot of hail could come down as well, kind of coating the ground. That's certainly a possibility. But here's that velocity image in motion. You can see how the reds have really flared up as the storm came from the south and west over Blue Island, now heading up towards Kensington and over towards Stony Island as well. So that's where we have the worst of the winds, and Cheryl was doing a query there of the hail from this system as well. And so there is the possibility of still some very large hail with this storm, and we'll switch back over to the hail detection mode right around Blue Island, stretching back to the west of there. You can still see the possibility of some large hail heading towards Kensington and Stony Island. The core of this storm will stay south of the loop. So if you're downtown right now, the worst of that storm is going to be to the south of the loop. But we're going to get some heavy rain and certainly a lot of lightning here downtown. I don't know if we have our Shed Aquarium camera up right now. If we could take a peek at that just to see what the conditions are like out at the museum campuses. See the rain coming down. It's not too dark here over the loop, but we've got the dark skies coming in with the storm at its worst just south of us in the southern parts of Cook County. This is going to ride over the Dan Ryan and eventually over the Skyway as well. We are included in the severe thunderstorm warning here in the loop, but it does look like the worst of the storm is in this southern flank of it, which is crossing now over I-57 and then heading over the Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan over the next couple of moments. So this severe thunderstorm warning continues here for parts of Cook County. As Cheryl was mentioning, the tornado threat that we were tracking up here across parts of McHenry and Boone County, that has now moved into Wisconsin. So currently there are no tornado warnings for McHenry County. You still have a severe thunderstorm warning. We got to keep our eyes on that storm that's moving out of Chemung as it tracks across the northern part of the county, because there is certainly some spin in the atmosphere. So any one of these storms could produce a brief spin-up tornado across the far northwestern suburbs. And that one storm that's now moving through Cook County has shown some signs of rotation, but Cheryl, what's interesting about those signs of rotation, they're more in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, and those are more indicative of hailstorms. When you get that spin in the mid-level of the atmosphere, that keeps those hailstones up in the sky long enough for them to grow really large, and then they fall down to the ground.
And it's just a sign of the intensity, too, as we were talking earlier today about the updrafts here. So reaching just up to 10,000, 15,000 feet, we do have temperatures that are near and then getting below freezing. So the ability for these storms to tap into that very cold air aloft, that's what allows for the production of the hailstones. And the stronger the updraft within the storm, that means those hailstones can continue to grow larger in size up in the upper levels of the atmosphere before they come down. So we do have an image as well, I believe, of some hail coming in. This is Orland Park. So there you can see some penny to dime size hail, but we have seen some reports of potentially ping pong ball size hail. That is possible of some damage out there. So damaging size hail not out of the question here with some of these storms into the afternoon and evening. So heads up, we also saw some hail producing thunderstorms earlier this morning with a torrential downpour. So this is the one strong storm that we do have on the map right now with the thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm warning now in effect until 2:45. Very heavy rain, gusty winds upwards of 30, 40 miles per hour here within these storms as well. But one of the main threats here in northern Illinois through the afternoon and evening, and what we're seeing right now is the hail within the core of these storms. They are moving quickly to the north and east at about 30, 35 miles per hour. So here you can see this one cell, and if you're in this area, you definitely need to be inside. Let this pass. It will be out over Lake Michigan in a matter of about 15 to 20 minutes. So right down 994, Stony Island there, Kensington just off to the south, and then really the core of this is just to the south there of Englewood. That's where we're seeing definitely a lot of hail coming down within this storm with very heavy torrential rain. As we widen this radar shot out for you just a little bit, checking in on that storm up to the north that is still tornado warned here for parts of Walworth County, Lake Geneva just outside of this, but anyone up to the north happen to be in southeast Wisconsin. If you're under that tornado warning, you do want to be in the safe place. This is moving away from us up to the north and east. Definitely a lot of lightning and very heavy rain with this storm, and that's also a good thing to think about with these storms today. You never want to go outside and take a look. Any storms that will be moving through will be producing very heavy rain, so it will be hard to see any type of tornado formation with some of these storms that will be moving on through. So definitely very high precipitation events within these storms that will continue to work through. And then we're watching closely these cells now beginning to pop and bubble up here in northwest Indiana. So you can see Lake County now where we are finding the lightning, some isolated storm development here. This is where we do have a better chance of seeing some spin within the storms as we go into the afternoon and evening. So Crown Point, this will be crossing over 65, getting closer to Valparaiso in the next 25 to 30 minutes there. Up to the north is where we still do have that tornado warning, watching the velocity, and there you can see still a couplet there, some spin within the core of that storm as it moves up to the north and east, and then we do have the lightning. Tornado watch in effect for our region until 8 p.m. As we put this into motion, we do have that heavy thunderstorm here that's moving through Cook County just to the south of Chicago, but even parts of Chicago certainly getting hit from this. It is pretty scattered, but we do have a few more hours until this round of energy completely makes its way through. So you can see this as a whole. We are beginning to fill in the gaps. Things just started getting going about an hour to about an hour and a half ago, and it will continue to be with us as we head into the next couple of hours. Again, that tornado watch until 8 p.m. across parts of the region into northwest Indiana. And this was issued latest update.
They just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Lake County in Indiana. It's the far northwestern sliver of Lake County here included now in this severe thunderstorm warning. You're going to be clipped by this storm around Hammond, East Chicago, and even parts of Gary, at least in the far northwestern parts of Gary. You're going to see some of this storm action roll through, but the core of the storm is still into Cook County as we speak. You can see the warning there for Lake County goes until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You were mentioning the lightning. Let me show you the lightning counter here. So in the past 5 minutes with this storm, which covers a good portion of the southern side of the city, stretching all the way back down towards Tinley Park, we've seen over 290 lightning strikes, nearly 300 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes in just the past 5 minutes in this entire area. So it's really putting out a lot of lightning. That's kind of indicative of hailstorms. Oftentimes with hailstorms, you get a lot of lightning with them. What happens is those hailstones, they rub together up in the sky and sometimes can generate extra electricity and really enhance the lightning with any storm. And you can see a tremendous amount of lightning right now across the southern parts of Cook County and stretching into parts of northwest Indiana. There's a nice outline of the severe thunderstorm warnings. You can see the areas covered with the warning at this point. The core of that storm is just now crossing over the Dan Ryan, right where I-57 and the Bishop Ford come together. That's where we still have the possibility of seeing some large hail. Looks like the hailstones might have come down a little bit in size from a few moments ago, but if you're in Stony Island heading over towards Englewood and then right up to the lake, you have the possibility here of seeing some pretty large hail, maybe an inch in diameter or larger as this tracks off towards the north and to the east, and still that possibility of some high winds up around 60 to 70 miles per hour. We've got a live picture for you. This is near Guaranteed Rate. You can see the rain coming down pretty hard there along the Dan Ryan. In the distance, as we're looking down the interstate, you can see not very far into the distance because of the heavy rain coming down, and it doesn't look like there's very high winds here close to downtown or Guaranteed Rate, but we are having that possibility of some pretty high winds with this storm, which is now just about ready to get its core out over the lake. In fact, as we switch over to the velocity data while I was showing you that picture, I just pulled this up on the map, and it looks like the core of the winds are now starting to move out over the lake. So that's a good sign. There's still certainly some gusty winds coming with this storm, but likely below severe limits. So when I say that, I mean the winds are probably around 40 to 50 miles per hour, which is obviously some pretty strong winds, but severe winds start at 58 miles per hour or higher, and it looks like those have now moved out over the lake. So that's a real good sign. It looks like the core of the winds are moving offshore, but we still have the possibility there of some really high winds, or I should say some large hail with that particular storm. So just going back to the storm in the northern suburbs, because the other spot we have that severe thunderstorm warning is for parts of McHenry County. Tracking this out, if you're in Antioch over towards Pleasant Prairie up in Wisconsin, this storm will be arriving in the next 30 minutes or so. This will have the possibility of some high winds and even some hail as it tracks right along the state line here, lifting slowly to the north and to the east. And Cheryl was mentioning the tornado watch that's in effect until 8 o'clock this evening. Covers everybody. I will tell you, and Cheryl will say the same thing, it's going to be trimmed from west to east before we get to 8 o'clock. So the worst of the stormy weather for us is happening now through probably at least 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. After that, things will quiet down for us, but continue off towards the east. When you look at that bigger picture, this tornado watch goes all the way over towards Kalamazoo and over towards Fort Wayne. And we're still keeping our eyes on this activity down to the south. Cheryl, what's kind of interesting about what I'm seeing on the radar here south of the city is storms are trying to flare up, but the winds, say about 10, 15, 20,000 feet above the ground are kind of shearing off the updraft. So the air's rising and it doesn't have a chance to really establish itself because it's getting blown off into the distance.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Absolutely a great thing. So we hope that continues to be the case. But when you look at the setup of the atmosphere in Indiana, northwest Indiana down into central Indiana, there's actually more spin in the atmosphere in those areas. So if a storm were to really get going, say south of I-80 and into northwest Indiana, that's where we'd actually have a higher tornado potential, despite the fact that we had that one tornado warning up here along the state line.
Yeah, and coming in with the National Weather Service right now, just as you were mentioning, that area that we're focusing on for the potential here of some severe weather developing as we head throughout the rest of the afternoon and evening, it really won't be up to the north. That is more of a wind hail threat, even though we did have that one tornado warning. It's going to be this area from I-55 to the east into northwest Indiana. This will be the focus here, and we're watching those storms, and Larry was just watching and talking about those upper level winds, but there's still a lot of instability at play here. If a storm does continue to develop and intensify with its updraft, the possibility to tap into that shear, take on some spin, not only some hail, but a tornado threat is still present south and east here of Chicago. That will be the greatest likelihood if we do see another storm with the threat of a tornado here as we go into the afternoon and evening. Right now, we don't have any severe warned storms south of the city, but however, that one severe thunderstorm warning is still in effect here, and it has been packing a punch with very heavy rain, but the highest intensity part of the storm is now moving out over Lake Michigan, and I just got word we have more pictures of hail that has been produced from this storm. This was, I believe, the new Lenox area, and there you can see quarter-size hail being reported. Very decent size hail here, and again, some damaging hail not out of the question this afternoon and evening. We could potentially see hail greater than quarter size as we head through the next couple of hours. So just a lot to take in here. The severe thunderstorm warning, though, the worst of it is now just passing off to the east here. So just south of Chicago is where we're seeing that lightning, but the rain definitely beginning to let up. Right along the immediate lakefront here is where we're still finding some very heavy rain moving up to the north and east, 30 and 35 miles an hour. So this is definitely going to be heading out away from us. And then the other storm up to the north, McHenry, you are in the midst here of getting some scattered thunderstorms. The tornado warning up to the north and parts of southeast Wisconsin for just a few more minutes there. And then off to the west, DeKalb getting in on some storms here. This is not warned right now, but this is another cell that will impact parts of Franklin up towards Belvedere and continue again working into McHenry. So something we want to watch out here for those of you in McHenry County will be the intense rains and the prolonged rain that will be happening over the next 30-45 minutes. So the possibility of some ponding on area roads, some isolated flooding not out of the question. And again, that main focus of our severe weather threat for the remainder of the night, I should draw the arrow the other way, will be this region here for our immediate viewing area. This is where we're really going to have to watch for the storms that are developing right now. They can quickly intensify, take on some spin, and the possibility of some tornadoes not out of the question in our region here as we go into the next couple of hours. Tornado watch in effect until 8 p.m. So everyone needs that severe weather safety plan. Talk with your friends, your family, have that safe place ready to go. Know what to do if you do get a tornado warning here in the next couple of hours. We're going to send it over to Larry. What are you seeing?
Yeah, well, just to kind of step through that outline, because you mentioned that areas south have the highest concern for severe weather over the next few hours, and that kind of plays out with our future cast. So what this is, it's a high resolution forecast model which kind of depicts where the storms will be as we go into the future. And as I put this in motion, you can see we've got several clusters of storms being depicted by the model. And as we head towards 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, look how the storms are well to the north and east of us by about 5 or 6 o'clock. This might be a little bit fast, but what will happen is a lot of these storms will clear out as we head towards 5 and 6 o'clock this evening. So it's really between about now and 5 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon when we have the concern for some severe weather and even some isolated tornadoes still a possibility. And Cheryl was highlighting the zone of interest for us. It is really down to the south of the city for the greatest concern here for the potential for tornadoes. And I've got it outlined in a map here, the shaded area, or not shaded area, but outlined in this black dash line. This is kind of the zone where there's still quite a bit of spin in the atmosphere. It doesn't discount what's north of this area because there's still a possibility of some high winds and hail, especially with that storm moving through Boone County right now. But notice how there's not a lot of activity back here from LaSalle farther to the west. That's where the atmosphere is kind of stabilizing a little bit. But we're getting these little isolated pop-up storms to develop right now in northwest Indiana and then farther to the south and west down towards the Pontiac area. And all these storms that are pushing and developing in this zone here are the ones that we're going to be most concerned about for the potential there for some large hail, high winds, and even the threat for an isolated tornado. Now, going back to the Cook County storm and the Lake County storm, Here in northwest Indiana, Whiting, Hammond, over towards Gary, the storm's out over the lake. So the worst of the storm has moved well past you. And even the worst of the storm here in the city has now moved out over the lake. If we go back to the shed camera just to take another peek over the city right now, because it does probably look a lot better than it did a few minutes ago. And that's certainly the case as the skies are brightening up over the city and back to the west. Can we rotate that out over the lake just to get a sense of how the contrast is in the sky cover there from to the west? And then when we look out over the lake where the core of that storm is now, yeah, look at that. That's a rain coming down right over the lake. You can't see very far out into the lake with the rain falling. There's the Adler Planetarium. And as we pan up a little bit, you can see the dark skies there of the clouds that have come through. And you probably saw those clouds coming to your house or your work right now this afternoon, watching the stuff, these storms roll through. We got some new video for you just in. Where's this coming from? Palos Heights. Okay, we got some Palos Heights video for you. This is showing the hail coming down. Look at the rain falling as well. Cheryl, you know, we were mentioning, and I was mentioning the fact that these hailstones may not be terribly large, penny to nickel size, which is, you know, decent size hail, but there's a lot of hail within that thunderstorm as it moved over Palos Heights and Palos Hills, Orland Park as well, and it likely coated the ground like we saw in that video a second ago. Thankfully, though, as you can see, the worst of that storm is now moving out over the lake. Cheryl?
Yeah, we are continuing to monitor that, and it was really interesting to see the hail formation on radar. Right now, we don't have any severe warnings in our immediate area. That one warning did expire here for Chicago points to the south. We're going to be watching these cells very closely as we head into the next couple of hours, and we're going to keep you posted here if we do get any more warnings, tornado warnings, especially in our region over the next couple of hours. So stay tuned with us, keep it tuned, and have ways to receive warnings throughout the afternoon and evening.
This has been an AccuWeather alert from ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
itself is just about over Michigan City, where we see the darker shades of red and the lighter shades of white and purple. That's the core of the storm, where there's still the possibility of some large hail. And on the southern flank of this storm, down to around Cool Spring and right along I-94, is where we're seeing the circulation with this storm that has prompted the tornado warning. In fact, let me switch over to the velocity mode here, and we'll take a peek at what's going on within this storm. And right over Michigan City right now, you need to be taking your tornado precautions. Get away from the outside windows, go into that small interior room and let this storm pass by. There could be a tornado wrapped up in the rain here near Michigan City. We're seeing the greens and reds right next to each other here in this general area. There could be some higher winds over towards the east side of the city, but this red outlined box is the tornado warning zone. It's not very large. It's just a really small part of northern LaPorte County, but it does include Michigan City. That's where the worst of this storm is located, with the potential there of a tornado. Let me switch over to hail size too, because sometimes we can get a reflection of where the hail core is located. That can sometimes tell us where the updraft is, which is where the tornado is located. These are some pretty large hailstones likely moving into Michigan City at this point as well. Maybe 1 inch in diameter or larger hail falling right over Michigan City at this point. So when you look at the radar again, we're keeping our eyes on what's going on here with the rotation center. And there you can see the hook echo right there, just now north of I-94. So between downtown and I-94 in Michigan City is where this rotation is located. If you're really anywhere in Michigan City, especially now on the east side of town and south of town, you need to be in that tornado safe room at this point. This is the most clear signature we've seen so far of rotation that could produce a tornado with the storms that we've been following throughout the afternoon. And in this zone here from near Michigan City stretching up towards New Buffalo, you need to be in your tornado warning areas right now just to let this storm pass on by. And again, it's the small interior rooms, no exterior walls, no windows. The best spot you can go to is maybe a small closet or a bathroom that's in the middle of your home if you don't have a basement. Obviously, basements are the best place to go, but if you don't have a basement, those are the spots you want to go to. So we're keeping an eye on this storm, and that's the only tornado warning we have. And at the moment, there are no additional warnings elsewhere, but there are some storms in the northern suburbs. Cheryl, you got an update on the tornado warning for us?
Yeah, this just coming in really, and it remains in effect here until 3:45. So it is a very small sliver here in LaPorte County, but we do have a lot of people living in this area, Michigan City. It is right on top of you. Larry was mentioning now is the time to get to your safe place with this tornado warning in effect here until 3:45. So we still have about 20-30 minutes to go before this is set to expire in your region. Let me take off the warning label for you. You know that it is a tornado warning until 3:45. We zoom on in. The good news is that this is moving quickly. However, it is moving so quickly. We're keeping up with it. It is now the core of this just passing off to the east-northeast of Michigan City. And as we zoom on there you can see Long Beach right along the lakefront here, and what you can see is this hook, and this is where we're getting the inflow into this storm. So we are seeing that spin rotation spotted here on our radar, and we zoom on in and you can see anyone in the path of this. If you live in this area, you need to be in that safe spot right now, lowest level of your home. Anyone located in this region from Trail Creek stretching up to the north and east, crossing 94 here, there is Ambler. So this is where we're finding the potential of some spin in this region. This is where the tornado would be located here. Long Beach, very heavy rain. And what we're also finding is hail coming down, almost buckets of hail. It looks like it's pouring snow outside. Pea to dime size hail likely across parts of our region, but this is something that's going to be continuing here as we take a look here with our radar in full effect. So this will continue to move up towards the north and east. New Buffalo, you're in the path of this storm, so you need to be alert as well. We talked about the heavy rain as well as the hail and the lightning with this storm, but again, this is where we are finding the possibility of a tornado. Not confirmed at this point in time. I know a lot of alerts are coming in right now, and as this storm cell move through parts of Ogden Dunes along the lake, there was reports of trees down, tree damage. So with that said, regardless of tornado touchdown or not, we're finding some very strong winds within the core of these storms as well. So gusts up to 40, 50 miles per hour looking likely as these storms are intensifying as they move into parts of northwest Indiana, as we do have more instability in place here. It will be quickly running out of this warning box, but you can see the sliver here. It is stretching just on the northern fringes of LaPorte County before we get into Michigan, stretching back to the west, Long Beach down to the south. 212 here, 94. It is approaching this. People out on the roads right now getting hit very hard with torrential rain. This is not something you want to be traveling through. Blinding rain, precipitation coming down so heavy and fast, and some hail being reported with this storm as well. So a lot to monitor here, but we did want to break in and bring you the very latest with this new tornado warned storm that does remain in effect until 3:45 here. Let me switch over to velocity. And Larry, what I am noticing is that this storm is just moving very quickly along the lakefront. It's almost outrunning the warning box right now, but still finding some broad rotation within the cell, and still the possibility here of some very high gusty winds within this storm. Okay, yeah, so the tornado warning does remain in effect here. And again, the tornado watch in parts of our region until 8 p.m. across parts of our region. Also coming in with, again, communicating with the National Weather Service of some trees down across parts of the area. This is the one storm here in parts of LaPorte County. And then notice things just getting very active as we cross over into parts of the Benton Harbor area. This will be traveling up into parts of southwest Michigan here. So keeping our eye on this, and radar right now is indicating here that spin in the region as well. So something we're continuing to eye here. The tornado warning until 3:45. We see if this gets extended a little bit farther off to the east, but it's hugging that lakefront, bringing with it gusty winds, lightning, and very heavy rain. Larry.
And Cheryl, just getting reports from around the Michigan City area of hail, up to baseball size hail reported in Indiana Dunes. So that was when the storm was just to the west of Michigan City. Baseball size hail, that's 2.5 inches in diameter size hailstones falling from the storm. And it's still likely producing some very large hail right along the shoreline here between Long Beach and New Buffalo. And that large hail is now moving into the New Buffalo area as we speak. We're still watching the rotation center right here. I've gotten no reports of any touchdowns confirmed so far, but there is certainly a really well-defined hook echo right in this general area now, and we've been watching it on the velocity data as well to get a sense of just how tight this is, where you get the reds and the greens right next to each other. And there is still the rotation showing up here now just right along I-94. This is going to be tracking up towards the New Buffalo area. Here's the Four Winds Casino, and in this general area between I-94 and the shoreline, you need to be in that safe area and let this storm pass on by as it moves off towards the north and to the east. In fact, the track of this storm has taken it over Michigan City now and heading up towards New Buffalo and pushing into Berrien County. As I put the velocity data into motion, this gives us a sense of what we're looking at in terms of where the rotation has been and where it's going. And it's just been hugging the shoreline over the past 15 minutes or so. And here's the new tornado warning box that's just popped on to include northern parts of LaPorte County and a larger chunk of Berrien County. You're now included in this tornado warning. And so let me zoom out here and give you an overview of the tornado warning for Berrien and LaPorte County until 4:15. So that storm that's now moving out of Michigan City has still continued with a tornado warning for the northern parts of LaPorte County, then up into Berrien County as well until 4:15. And the severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Porter County is going to expire here really basically now at 3:30. So Porter County, you're in the clear. LaPorte, the town of LaPorte, an area southward, you're in the clear for now at least. But the worst of the storm is in extreme northern LaPorte County, pushing into Berrien County at this point. And we're keeping our eyes on that rotation center. And the other thing that's happening is there's another little area of rotation trying to start here just to the northern parts of LaPorte County, around Galena, around the Hudson area, just south of Three Oaks. In fact, when I switch over to velocity mode on this one, and I'm going to go to the northern Indiana radar here too to get a better vantage point of our velocity data. There is maybe some signs of some rotation developing in this area, but the core is still right here, right along I-94, heading up towards the New Buffalo area is where the really well-defined rotation is located. But Cheryl, you know, when we watch these radar images and we keep a peek on what's going on with not only the velocity data, but also with reflectivity data, looks like we're trying to get two different hook echoes to develop here. This is the most intense one where I showed you that velocity data a second ago, but there's likely another updraft forming right in this area. And you're standing there in front of the velocity data. So south of Three Oaks is where this other area is located, where we're getting a little bit of rotation trying to develop there. It's not as tight as what's back here towards New Buffalo, but we might be seeing an evolution of this storm where another updraft is flaring up that may also produce some rotation as well.
Yeah, and basically if you're in this warning, you need to just be in your safe place right now, because we are finding some rotation, not just in one, but multiple locations now, with the storm continuing to intensify in this region. We were just showing you that here on Velocity. As we switch over to radar, you can almost clearly see that hook a little bit better here. So let me just go over to Velocity, check that, and take you back towards radar, where we are finding still some spin. So the very latest is that the tornado warning has been issued and extended into parts of northern LaPorte, north central LaPorte, into Berrien, now until 4:15. So this is extended and expanded in this region. The worst of it is now just passing to the east northeast of Michigan City. So as we zoom in, we are finding here that hook where we are finding potentially some spin within the core of this thunderstorm. So right on top of New Buffalo. Obviously, we all know New Buffalo, Michigan region. We have a lot of folks in this area. You're under this warning. You need to get to your safe place. Under a tornado warning, basement, the best place. If you don't have a basement, you want to be on your lowest level of your home in an interior room like a bathroom or a closet away from windows. So please do that right now as the storm will continue to pass to the east northeast. It is moving rather quickly at about 30-35 miles per hour, but right now this is where we would be finding the inflow into this thunderstorm right along 94 up to the north. New Buffalo, you are getting hit so hard with heavy rain, torrential downpours right now, and still likely here some hail mixing in as well. So don't look outside, just stay inside, stay in your safe place, let this storm pass. It is going to pass over rather quickly, and then Three Oaks up towards 94 right along the lakefront here, stretching back towards New Buffalo, is where we're seeing the main activity currently, and this will continue to right up to the north and east. So this is now beginning to pass just to the north of LaPorte, just to the north here of 94. There's that county and state boundary. This will cross over here and it will quickly get out of our region. However, then Southwest Michigan needs to be on alert for this storm as it continues to right up 94 there, right along the immediate lakefront. I know a lot of alerts are coming in. We are getting reports as well of some damage in some regions, not just here, but also up towards McHenry County as well. So our northern counties getting hit very hard with some very heavy rain and strong winds up towards Lake and McHenry. So here we still have some storm activity here up into parts of southeast Wisconsin, Kenosha under the severe thunderstorm warning. And what I can say now is everyone basically I-39 just off to the east a little bit in the clear, but anyone from I-55 into parts of southern Cook County, Will, Kankakee into northwest Indiana, not in the clear. The same goes for parts of Lake and McHenry County right along the lakefront as well. So anywhere where it's dry, in the clear of severe weather, but that's not the case, however, off to the north and east. We're still finding some storms developing here with some hail in parts of Will County, just back to the north and west there of Moni, and then stretching just to the east there of Wilmington, approaching I-57. We do have to keep our eyes on these storms. If they continue to travel to the east, intensify, what we're going to find here again with the potential of some severe storms developing with some very large hail as well as some gusty winds, heavy rain, and this is also the region where we're finding some spin still existing in the atmosphere and the possibility of some tornadic activity. So back that tornado warned storm with this warning that remains in effect until 4:15, definitely still finding some spin, and that hook is still clearly evident here on our radar right on top of New Buffalo, still getting hit very hard right along I-94. This is going to be a tough stretch for anyone traveling right now. Dangerous conditions, likely visibility being greatly reduced because of the heavy rain and also the hail. The good news is that it is fairly isolated, so it's not an all widespread event right now with torrential downpours everywhere, but still isolated scattered activity where we are finding that severe threat in some isolated spots. If we're coming to you telling you you're under this tornado warning, just stay in your safe place. It is beginning just to pass northeast of LaPorte County, but we do want to keep our eyes on this. Larry, I'm hearing a lot of reports coming in, so I know you've been monitoring. What is the latest?
Yeah, so I've been watching a lot of hail reports from the Michigan City area of 2-inch to 2.5-inch size hailstones being reported from that storm that moved over Michigan City that's now up around New Buffalo. And to give you a sense of a scale here of what those size hailstones kind of represent, 2-inch hailstones are about the size of an egg. 2 3/4 inch hailstones are about the size of a baseball, and then they get larger from there, softball size and even grapefruit size is a possibility with the hailstones. But what we've seen is right in this range of 2 to 2.5 to 2 3/4 inch hailstones from this particular storm, which is kind of very rare to get hail that large. But those are some of the reports we're getting out of Michigan City from the storm as it moved over that area. As Cheryl was mentioning, we continue with the tornado watch until 8 o'clock this evening for most of the area, but it will be trimmed from west to east as we go through the next couple of hours. So it will not last until 8 o'clock here in Chicago, because the last gasp of the storms is starting to move through the central part of the area. In fact, as I put this in motion, you can see there are some stronger storms here moving into southern Cook County, down into Will County, and also a big cluster of storms still in the northern suburbs. But back to the west, things are quiet. They're dry. That's where the activity has come to an end, and the atmosphere is really kind of stabilizing itself back here to the west. But anywhere where you see the storms on the radar to the east, that's the concern zone still for the next couple of hours for the possibility of some severe weather and even isolated tornadoes. As I'm speaking, they've updated the tornado warning here for parts of Berrien County. They've taken LaPorte County out of the warning, which we've expected would happen. They've got the tornado warning until 4:15 for parts of Berrien County here. And it's again for that storm that's over New Buffalo right now, moving off towards the north and to the east. So if you're in the southern part of Berrien County, continue to take your tornado precautions at this time and let this storm pass on by. We'll zoom in a little bit closer here on the radar and show you there is still a little bit of a hook around New Buffalo, and still that secondary area trying to develop around the Three Oaks zone that I've been watching as well. So we've got a little system cell here that's somewhat disorganized, except it does have still some rotation showing up on velocity data. Now, oftentimes when we go to this velocity mode, when we've got a tornado warning, you can really see a clear red and greens right next to each other. Not quite as clear with this particular perspective, but nonetheless, there is still some rotation right now, just now over New Buffalo and moving up towards up here into parts of Berrien County along I-94 near Three Oaks, and then up towards Bridgman as well is where the possibility of this rotation center is moving at this point. More storms down towards South Bend. These are not severe, but the one right now into parts of New Buffalo and over towards Three Oaks and then up towards Weesaw as well. That's the zone there in Berrien County where we're most concerned. Things have calmed down in Michigan City, just a little rain still coming down. But again, that wider perspective, this area here from around Kankakee over into northwest Indiana, got to keep our eyes on these storms. They're starting to produce some more lightning, so they might strengthen a little bit as they move off towards the east. Those are the ones that still have that small potential of becoming strong to severe over the next couple of hours. In fact, I'll just examine this one a little bit because it's getting stormy again in Oak Forest, down towards Monee and just north of Manteno right now. Look how the lightning's really picked up in the past few moments with this particular storm. So this one is showing some signs of growing in intensity, so we'll need to keep an eye on that one as it moves into parts of northwest Indiana and in particular Lake County, because it'll take several minutes here as it moves off to the east to strengthen. So we'll keep an eye on that one, and then the other storm up here around Bellwood as well. So good news, Cheryl, is that at the moment we have no warnings in Illinois and Indiana, but we still continue with that tornado warning for Berrien County at this point.
Yeah, and we'll continue to keep monitoring that as it presses up farther to the north and east with it very heavy rain. And again, they are isolated cells right now, and something that we are monitoring as this storm continues to move up and away from us. We are seeing some intensification of that cell that Larry was just talking about in parts of southern Cook now and Will County, and also some hail being reported here. And it doesn't take much for these storms to produce some hail, and that's because we have very cold air aloft and present in the atmosphere. We go up to 10,000, 15,000 feet. Those temperatures already down to freezing. So once these storms intensify and those updrafts reach those levels, that is what allows the hail production. So we are finding hail within these storms right now. We don't have any warnings here from Tinley Park stretching back towards Manhattan. This is now just passing to the east there of Simerton as well, and this will continue to work its way east across I-57. So right now, no severe warnings in our immediate area. That tornado warning for Berrien until 4:15. If we do see any more severe warned storms here, such as tornado warnings popping up in northern Illinois or northwest Indiana, we will bring you the very latest. Right now, we'll send it back to regular programming.
This has been an AccuWeather alert from ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Can you be more specific?